So, now I'm going to define it my way because, as you saw in the presentation, it can be defined a number of different ways. A flow state here is a highly rewarding state of mind. Some people will refer to it as a Zen state, or like I say, as a transcendent experience, in the zone, in the moment, or being completely engrossed and absorbed by a challenging yet rewarding task just for the sake of doing it. That was Dr. Mihai Shinseki. If anyone wants to try to say that out loud. Could we give a point on the test just so we can say that properly?
Perhaps.
I just got shot down there. A flow state is a highly rewarding state of mind. And every flow state requires something called transient hypofrontality. Would anybody like to take a stab?
Your prefrontal cortex needs to be fully engaged.
Yes but no. You got the frontality part right.
Okay.
Transient, does anyone know what transient means? Transient means temporary. Hypo means reduction. Frontality means the prefrontal cortex. A temporary reduction in the activity of your prefrontal cortex. Raise your hand if you've had anxiety. When you have anxiety, your prefrontal cortex is just shooting off like mad, just one thing after the other. And if you've had that anxiety, you know that feeling of, I cannot make my brain shut up right now. This is what you're going for. This is what you want. You want a temporary reduction in the activity going on in your prefrontal cortex. Temporary reduction, prefrontal cortex. So transient hypofrontality, what it actually does for us is, like I was just saying, it can create a scenario in which you have relief from anxiety, but more technically, it is a closed mental loop focused exclusively on an activity. And I'm doing this because it's really important for this presentation, a closed mental loop. And when you have this closed mental loop, it could be a protective shield against things that are interrupting you. So if you have the goal of concentrating, you have the goal of eliminating things coming in from the outside. That's part of what this loop is all about, a closed mental loop. So when people are at the piano, what do they experience if they're in a state of flow? Well, I got super lucky. In 2010, the psychophysiology of flow during piano playing was published by the American Psychological Association. This study took a couple of people who were high-level piano players, they're professionals, and they hooked them up to some medical monitoring equipment to monitor their heart rate, to monitor their smiling and their frowning muscles, to monitor the rhythm of their sinuses, a bunch of different things, and see when somebody is defining themselves as being in a flow state playing the piano, what is actually happening to the body. So this is a great, great paper. Highly recommend it in your free time in December. The first, when we did this experiment, they had every player play a song of their choosing 5 times. Now, in the presentation, you heard a little bit about not being in apathy, not being in boredom. So the music that had to be selected had to be between music that would create anxiety because it's so hard and create boredom because it's so easy. You want to find yourself directly in between those two things. And they play each song 5 times, and each of the 5 times on the trial is testing for flow. So there are 9 dimensions of flow, and I'll go through the dimensions one by one in a little bit. But when judging out all 9 dimensions of flow, the players showed an increase, especially after the first, when going from the first try to the second try. And the players sit down and play, and they're in that zone, and they know what they're doing, and things aren't so hard it creates anxiety, nor so easy it creates boredom. This is the result. Now, this probably doesn't mean too much here right now.
Well,
So
it actually should connect very closely to what for you in educational theory, because this is exactly the zone of proximal development, which Vygotsky, mouth is not working, talked about that zone of proximal development, which you are looking to get a student to work a little bit above their current level of performance, but not so high that the task is unreproducible for them or not achievable.
Perfect.
So that's exactly how it equates to what we're working with.
You just made my next slide.
There you go.
Okay, so thank you. So let me go a little bit more into detail about the actual effects that are going on. The first graph, A, is a measurement of the zygomaticus major muscle, as your smiling muscle. Over 5 tries, there's actual activity in your smiling muscles that increase. The corgus supercilii, I never say it the right way, is your frowning muscle. Your frowning muscles go virtually neutral when you're in a state of flow. And frowning muscles show stress, so your stress is going down. The second graph is a general reduction in your heart pressure, your blood pressure. This graph here is a lowering of the variability of your heart rate. You don't want your heart rate being invariable. You don't want it having different lengths of beats going in either direction. You want to reduce that variability. And the way that variability is reduced is by an increase of the floor of your heart rate and a decrease in the ceiling of your heart rate. And by decreasing the ceiling and increasing the floor, there's not as much room to move around, and you regulate a degree of variability. These are all really, really positive things that a lot of people would go to the doctor to try to get done with a pill. And here we are at the piano. You need some diligent work, you need some time, you need some experience, but we have medical benefits that could be achieved while we're learning, while we're playing, while we're targeting goals of our life. So, the question is, can occupational octaves with a transient hypofrontality approach actually lead to a state of flow? Well, we're not going to draw any conclusions about James and exactly what he was thinking while in the middle of playing. But do you think that what you saw had a closed mental loop? Or did you see distractibility? Did you see eyes moving around in different places? Did you see questions being asked? Did you see body movement going on? Did you see confusion? Okay, so theory. I'm not making any big claims here, but the theory we've got working right now is that at the very least, we watch James experience something akin to transient hypofrontality. So, of course, I believe it'll work. I see it all the time. I should make a little note. I own a special needs music school out in Great Neck. This is all I do, all day, every day. I have between me and an employee, we have about 60 different kids and adults that come in with all variations of special needs that we have to adapt for, and I live my life every single day bringing people into this state of mind using this program and this system. So it's not just James. There's hundreds and hundreds of kids, not only working with me, but people that have used my program around the world that are having this experience, which is an incredible point of pride for me. So my ultimate goal is to recreate the psychophysiology of flow study with some of my students. I think James would actually be perfect. He doesn't look too upset about it.
He's in the video.
Yeah, I'm taking the credit. I found the guy she got, yeah. So that's what the goal of the special needs user-friendly language of music is. Now that we have music, which is such a complicated thing to read in the first place, broken down into colored letters with the most simple instructions, can we connect one to the next, 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 which is what I do. It's exactly what I did when I played those couple of notes to you. I was connecting one to the next, to the next, to the next. And that's how we start to actually put together the closed mental loop, the transient hypofrontality. And the transient hypofrontality, the important note about it is that it's the bedrock of all altered states of mind. So that means you pop on the news, you hear some guy, they found him doing drugs. He smoked something, he took something. The first thing that he experienced was transient hypofrontality. That's why people are doing drugs in the first place and drinking in the first place. You got things that are so stressed out, you need to get your mind off it. A lot of people go to drinking drugs to get it done. A lot of people go to exercise. A lot of people go to yoga. I go to music. I might be in a little tiny flow state right now. I'm pretty in between my areas. I'm pretty comfortable with everything I got going on. So this goal is pretty universal for so many people in so many different situations. It doesn't just relate to music or yoga. Again, I think virtually anybody that's in drug or alcohol rehabilitation is a person that is having a very, very tough time calming their prefrontal cortex. Anyway.